Ang Pemba Sherpa. Where you at? Come on out! So happy to have you on. Sorry, my hands are sticky. It's the beer, I swear.
That beer works.
Ang Pemba Sherpa, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your work. The home audience was able to see the video. Our live audience is just gonna have to go by your words, and I mean, you guys are just gonna have to see the playback. The way you capture the outdoors is just unbelievable, and as a photographer and someone who does video, like, that is the constant struggle. Is like taking in all the energy and trying to relay that in some of the most beautiful spaces on earth.
Right. I think, yeah, being part of, like, for me, let me start with, like, how I come as a background as a photographer and filmmaker.
Yeah.
How it drove me towards this enthusiasm of making it work.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes from back from my part of the land where I actually come from.
Mm-hmm.
I come from Nepal, and part of the Everest region, which is way up in the Himalayas.
Mm-hmm.
So in that part of the region, we, like, as we talk about community and like creative artists that we talk about Portland right now, like how much of a creative artist do we have here in Portland, and how much supportive are we towards the community of the creative artists that we are here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that back in that part of the region. It's only a few of the people were very interested in this kind of art, kind of filmmaking or photography work. So there is only a minimal part of it, and that drove me an interest towards why not I pursue this as a career, to make it, like, why not I be part of it, to say that why can't I be into this part of filmmaking or photography career.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can get that kind of depth of soul, of gap between how we have, like, this vast amount of
Like media.
yeah,
out
media
there.
and media, and plus the output that we get from the Western world. What we have here, like, this media becomes like the biggest aspect of it, and that part of the world where there's nothing, and that part of the world is, there is definitely a need of those folks that will come from that part of the genre to have more depth of art and skill coming out throughout. So that made me more enthusiastic toward saying that I want to be part of it, and why not pursue it and learn all the bells and whistles and tools to be good at it, and so that I can showcase things out. And I take it, the biggest thing is outdoors. For me, it became the biggest part of outdoor as how I come from that part of the world.
Yeah.
I grew up pretty much in that part of the natural environment. Everything was outdoors for me. For me to go to school was like I had to hike every day to go to school. 1 hour hike uphill and downhill.
That's what my dad told me.
Yeah, so that does not technically exist in this kind of world right now.
But a different elevation for
absolutely,
you.
Absolutely. So that drives me, like, okay, hiking as part of, like, here becomes part of leisure. Like, we want to get out so that we can be into the nature. For us, like, every day was nature. So that, it became a biggest aspect of nature for me to understand. And I moved here in Portland in 2004. Since then, I became, like, really interested in the nature part of outdoors here in Pacific Northwest. And so much to offer here, so much of wilderness here to go and see. There are mountains if you want to go and see the mountains. There are deep forests if you want to go towards. There's desert if you want to go towards desert. There's everything. So that brought me really towards this great spot where I can capture what I really want to pursue in outdoors and stuff.
Yeah.
So that got me, like, okay, this is the best place, and plus the best community that supports the artists of various kinds. Portland is the best place. So that got me really into this spot.
Yeah. And some people, they go out into the outdoors, they take a few pictures, and that fulfills them. It almost feels like you have something to say in the art that you produce. And I don't want to put too much on you, but, like, I almost feel like there's something, a language you want to bring to the community that watches your films?
I think it all relates back to the spiritual concept of what I think. I'm more towards philosophically leaning to a spiritual concept of who we are as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes back to this biggest part of the vast nature, that we are nothing in part of this bigger part of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that spiritual connection between the nature and us, like we trying to go in within the nature to find ourselves and seek ourselves to define ourselves, who we are. But then this greater vastness of nature exists within this bigger aura.
Mm-hmm.
And then that interconnection between the human spirit and the bigger connection of this vast nature makes me feel like how tiny I am in this part of the context. And still I feel I'm so invincible to the context of what the bigger vastness of the universe lies.
Yeah.
And just to be part of it and just to accept everything what's out there in the nature and be playful and be active in the pod makes me go out and shoot every moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of people who have probably picked up a camera in recent times because they're, more readily available. Tell me about when you first picked up your camera, maybe the model, and what drew you, like what kept your eye in the viewfinder.
Right, there's a great story behind that actually. Let me take you all the way back. Camera does not exist in that part of the land where I come from. It's really like we have tourists that comes out through the route, and people from the foreign land who come down as a tourist have these cameras all around. And we're talking about back in late 80s and stuff, mid 80s and late 80s. So that's when my prime time is as a kid in that part of the region. I never had an opportunity to take a picture at that time because I did not have one. So I would be watching these folks to take pictures of me, but like I did not know like how the camera functions and all that sort of stuff. And my dad, as a mountaineer, he's been doing mountaineering throughout his career, and he's done mountaineering throughout with best of the best mountaineers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's climbed in Messner, Peter Havler, all these folks who are one of the pioneers of the mountaineering sector back in the days. And so he got one Nikon film camera as a gift from one of the folks from the Western world, but he did not know how to use it, and it was sitting at home, and all day it used to be in the corner in the room. I used to be playing around. I had no idea. I would not be able to touch that thing,
right?
But I would wonder what that thing is, like what that thing could be, what that thing could do, and all that sort of stuff, and I was all curious to go and touch it. But my dad, for him, it was like a souvenir that came from where else.
Foreign
land. It is something special. So he would not let me touch it, but that got me curious. But that was not my first camera, which I got in hand of. But I got an opportunity to get a second camera, which was like a more point-and-shoot camera back in the days throughout the trekking, while I used to be part with my dad, like as after high school. That was just right after high school when I got that opportunity to be in the trekking field through my dad. Then I got the first camera as a point and shoot. That was I would say that could be a Canon point and shoot back in the days. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nothing so special. It was just a Canon point and shoot. Yeah.
And now you make remarkable work. For my audience, where can they find your work?
You can actually find me at that will be Ang Pemba Sherpa in Instagram at Ang Pemba Sherpa, or you can check my stuff down in Vimeo. You can find me in Vimeo, and I have this group called Endless Outdoor Adventure in Vimeo, which is about like 500, 600 group members in there. I got a channel about like 2,000 followers in Endless Outdoor Adventure in Vimeo. It's got all the outdoor adventure videos that you want to see. Prime stuffs are all down there, so check it out there, follow it down there.
And great professional quality. It's just so amazing.
Yeah.